Welcome to Founders Future, a podcast powered by Closers.io, where we dive into the journeys of innovative entrepreneurs and explore the road ahead for them and their companies. I'm your host, Jay Encarnacion, and in each episode, we uncover the stories behind impactful ventures, the challenges faced along the way, and the strategies driving their future growth. Today, we are thrilled to have Aubria Ralph, the founder and CEO of Scrappy Girl Project. Aubria is a Caribbean American polymath, author, and entrepreneur with a remarkable background in law, finance, and education. Based in the US, Scrappy Girl Project, founded to empower small to medium businesses, is transforming organizations through its innovative Create methodology and quantum lead programming, focusing on leadership development and sustainable, people-centered workplaces. We'll be exploring her founding story, how her business catalyzes growth for clients, and her vision for scaling this impact-driven venture. So let's dive right in. Aubria, welcome to Founders Future.
Thank you for having me, Jay. I really appreciate you guys reaching out and just having this opportunity to share some insight, a little bit about my journey, and hopefully inspire other founders or people who are thinking about founding their own thing in this season.
Absolutely. Looking forward to getting into it a bit. So let's start at the very top, Aubria. For our listeners, take us back to the beginning. What specific problem in the leadership or workplace culture landscape really inspired you to start Scrappy Girl Project?
I would say something I noticed very early on in my career was the fact that a lot of times people, including myself, were promoted based on how good we were as individual contributors, but there wasn't always an emphasis on training and developing the person once they became a leader so that they would be able to lead a team, inspire a team, create cohesion. And after working in leadership for, oh my God, 20 years, dating myself there, I realized that this was something that was definitely needed. And I remember when I first started just thinking about how I would do it and doing my market research, I talked to other leadership consultants and you know, what I found amazing was the amount of pushback I
Mm.
got from veterans about my method because I wanted to focus on the top. I had found that a lot of leadership training was based on helping entry level people develop leadership skills so they could move up the ranks. But nothing was really there tangible other than what to me felt like stroking the egos of leadership teams so that you could get the contract rather than truly giving them the tools that they needed to be leaders of their own lives, but also helping other people lead within the organizations that they were running.
Amazing. Amazing. And just love the thought process beyond that. In 20 years, I don't know what you're doing or what fountain of youth you have, but you got something going. If you've been doing this for 20 years already, you look incredible. So just
You
want to
know,
put that
I
out
think my parents found the fountain of youth, to be
there.
honest, because they have not aged since I was born. So I don't
Unbelievable.
know what deals they made, but
It's impressive. Very impressive. Walk us through, Aubria, how Scrappy Girl Project's offer has evolved since you started. So from what you're providing to who you're serving, how's
yeah.
that changed over time?
Yeah, so when I first started out, I think I was a lot like most new founders, worried about getting that first client. And so I was a mercenary, I feel, where if you asked me to do something, I'd be like, oh, yeah, I can do that. And I found myself helping a new philanthropist develop his own foundation and creating pipelines so that he could donate funds to specific organizations for his particular mission. And that was like a really cool project, but it wasn't necessarily in the framework of what I was doing or what I set out to do. And so that was weighing on me. I remember he was like one of my first clients and I thought, dude, like you're not doing what you like are really supposed to be doing. But what was really incredible about that experience is I learned that I had the capacity to shift gears and show up and give exactly what a leader needed
Mm,
in their and I think that's something that I needed to know early on in in my journey so that I would not deny a client because I thought maybe I couldn't do the thing. It like eliminated any potential imposter syndrome, if you will, because I threw myself in the fire. Oh, I've never done this before, but let's check it out. And what was really great was by the time I was done working with this particular client, he said he didn't have anything set up. Like he was aspirational when I met him, but then full foundation in place, 5 or 6 nonprofits that he could work with directly. One of them, he became a board member. So it was one of those things like, and we did this within 3 months. And so, although it wasn't directly within the wheelhouse, it was me showing this leader who was shifting into a new space from being a top attorney, a business owner to now, oh, I want to give back to my community, showing him, no, you could actually do this and you can do this really well. So that was for me very confident building. But I will say, after working with a few clients like that, I decided, no, I wanted to really focus in. And so the quantum lead was born. And the goal was showing leaders in a very holistic way how to become lead. And I said this before, become leaders in their own lives. So taking ownership of who you are, what you want to be, like understanding how you're perceived, recognizing if this is the perception of myself that I want to be portrayed, aligning outward perceptions with who I really am and creating this authentic self without saying, oh, I'm an authentic person every other word, but really embodying somebody who has this level of self-awareness such that when they interact with people, there's no need to compete in a way that sometimes happens when we're in competitive spaces. It's more about, okay, how can we work together, how can we grow together, how can we build together? And so coming from a healed place, a trauma informed place, I think was really my goal. And I found working with people, and I started that last summer more directly, and seeing the transformation of men and women who were either moving up the ranks in organizations that they were or transitioning to entrepreneurship, really becoming more aware of what they truly wanted based on where they were saying they wanted to go, and shifting gears and making the certain alignments to get what they want.
Amazing. With that being said, it definitely sounds like you have an amazing grasp on what
Mm-hmm.
you're bringing to the table here. As far as the nuts and bolts, especially for our listeners who
Yeah.
end up being clients of yours, for how you're generating revenue today. So the core offer, I know
Yeah.
the quantum lead. So you're essentially providing that one-on-one coaching for
Right.
executives. You have bespoke consulting that you offer. How are your offers structured for your clients when they come to you?
Yeah, I have a base of what I do where we spend time going through the create method, which really focuses on these like 6 core aspects of wellness. So mental well-being, social well-being, physical well-being, environmental, financial, and how all of these like parts of who we are work together to create the person, and how not being well in either of these aspects of our lives impacts the other aspects. And so no matter what program you do with me, you're going through that process, the create model. And the reason for that is I really believe that if you don't feel whole, no matter what goal you have, what dream you have, what action you want to take, your lack of wholeness is going to impact your ability to achieve what you really want. Because if I'm not whole, then I'm not really sure of who I am. And if I'm not sure of who I am, I'm not really sure of what I want. And so it all kinds of flips into it. And so we spend time on that. But then there's a very like specific emphasis on what the person's goals are, or what the organization's goals are. And I've worked with people who they're looking to start a fractional business, whether it's like fractional CEO or fractional operations business, based on the work they were doing in a larger organization. And so helping them develop specific tools and resources that they can then implement when they're working with their clients. And so providing that kind of support, that initial support of building the nuts and bolts for their business. I do some of that as well because my mindset's one-stop shop. Like I can teach you how to be self-aware, but that's not going to help you get money. And so for me, it's like, how can I give you tangible tools that you can then implement in your business strategically so that you can attract the right clients and provide support that actually helps your clients grow and develop as well. And so the idea is almost like planting trees everywhere I go, if that makes sense.
Makes perfect sense. And it's incredible. Just a way to hear how your mind is operating, how you're looking at it, and why you're seeing so much success. It's really a pleasure having you on the show is so far walking through it. So talk to us a bit here, Aubria, of what's working best as far as acquisition, getting new
Mhm.
clients in the door for you, whether that be referrals and word of mouth from all your
Yeah.
success or ads or social media.
Hmm.
What are you seeing is working best right now to get new clients in?
So I'd say word of mouth has been the best source of income for me. I when I first started out, I think I spent too much money on ads.
Yeah.
And I found that like just the return, and I don't know if it's because there's just so much white noise online right now, but there was just not a lot of turnover there. And then I found what ultimately happened is I ended up getting a lot of weirdo
Yeah.
type inbound things. And so I said, you know what, we're not going to do ads anymore. And again, this is like my own personal business model is I'm not necessarily trying to scale in the way that most people want to scale. Like I have no desire to have thousands of clients and wait lists or any of that. That's not my goal. My goal is actually to plant the tree and hire a farmer. And the farmer is probably going to be that client who came wanting my help, who's
Mhm.
going to, that's going to be their land that they're going to till and grow and develop. And then I can go work with somebody else who needs me. So that's how my model works. And so there's no, oh, we're going to make this like a multinational organization as far as like huge amounts of people working for me. It's more it's more along the lines of huge amounts of people working with me towards the same goal because I recognize that I can't do it all and I can't be everywhere. And I may not be able to relate to everyone that needs what I have, but if I can convey it to somebody who is more relatable, then my job's done.
Incredible. Incredible. It makes sense. So you're really just relying on that on the
Yeah.
word of mouth referral side of things. That's where you're seeing a lot of success. So
Yeah.
sales process wise, are you just running the show on your own right now, or you no sales team, marketing, none of that nature?
Yeah.
Just you running it from start to finish?
Yeah, so sales wise, I'm running it. Like, I want to meet people before they sign up for anything because my thing is, if I can't, I don't want you to spend money if you haven't met me because you're going to be working with me. And I need you to believe that I can help you. And if you, I don't want you to spend money and then meet me and be like, oh, I don't think she could do it. So for me, like I always have a 15 to 30-minute call with a person, depending on how long they need me on that phone, to be honest, and walk through what their goals are. And I would say 9 out of 10 times people are, oh, wow, I hadn't thought about it that way. And they're bought in.
Mm.
And like I've been on the receiving end of some of those calls, and there's a lot of scare tactics that go on with certain people, certain consultants, where it's almost, it feels like bullying into signing up for a program. And that's just not my way because to me, I've had that pit in my stomach
Mm.
after agreeing to do something. And then I'm like, oh, and then a month in, I'm like, wait a minute, this isn't what they said. This isn't what I'm supposed to be having. And I like to meet with the people individually, but I do take on fractional marketing people whenever I have them launching something new. I outsource most of my operations. I have a fractional GC who does all of my legal stuff.
Yeah.
I have an IP attorney. I feel like I spend most of my money on legal. Being an attorney, I'm very risk averse. And so it's good to have attorneys telling me, oh no, you can do that.
Right.
Like you're being crazy here. You're being overly cautious. Or somebody
Yeah.
kind of being like, why did you do that? When we get into my mistakes, we'll talk about the why did you do that?
I love it. I love it. On that front, Aubrey, talk to us a little bit about where your mind is of bottlenecks for growth right now. What is
Hmm.
that quality lead gen coming in consistently, converting those
Hmm.
leads into clients, delivering with just you on the fulfillment
Hmm.
side? What can you point to as a bottleneck for us?
Yeah, so right now, for me, like, I think I started thinking about really targeting law firms and attorneys more specifically in the second year of business. And what has been the challenge for me is creating a program that doesn't make an attorney or a firm feel like, when are they going to have time to do this? Because they have all this work they need to be doing. And creating, and it's funny, like almost like bite size training modules so that this is something you can maybe listen to while you're working on a contract or doing research versus having to show up to a place, even on a Zoom. And for me, I think why I like that model is because personally, when I was practicing law, I hated having to be interrupted to go do some kind of training. And so being able to be in their shoes and find that kind of thing. And so that's the new venture that I'm looking at right now. And I think the hardest part is going to be with all the things that are going on in the legal field right now, just rule of law stuff, but then also AI implementation in the legal space is another thing where, so like, how do I come in 2025 and show the value of this leadership training, but do it in a way that's efficient and effective as well. And so like that has been the gnawing thing the last couple of months.
Yeah, absolutely. What do you see as far as painting a picture for us here? Top priorities, Aubria, for growing Scrappy Girl
Mhm.
Project? Let's say the next year. I know you just
Yeah.
mentioned a little bit there, but is there any specific revenue targets or impact goals? What are you really locked in
Yeah.
on for continuing?
So so one thing I'm really locked in on right now is AI implementation. And the reason for that is I feel like when I was practicing law specifically, I had a lot of opportunities to be on pilot programs for the legal technology. And so every time I had an opportunity, I did it. But it wasn't something that everyone did when they had the opportunity, or even leaders within organizations necessarily. Like there were leaders that were, nah, we don't need that. I need my pen and paper. And when I used to be a professor years ago, that was me. Oh, I can never read a book on a Kindle. I like turning the pages. And so helping people get to the mindset where they realize, no, like these tools are supposed to help us be more efficient in the more like administrative, mundane types of work so that we could provide more value to their clients, right? And so getting leaders to think in that way so that the idea is not, oh, I need to get AI to replace the number of team members. I need to get AI to replace the time that we spend on these specific tasks that don't really provide value and spend more time being innovative and creative for our clients and even for our organizations, coming up with new billing models. So, like, we're not reliant on the billable hour,
Yeah.
right? Coming up with new programming so that, for example, like, instead of me having to show up to a 3 hour long session on leadership, maybe I'm listening to 20-minute podcast style leadership specific to a question that I have, right? If I'm a finance attorney and I'm like, man, I really don't understand these concepts in debt. And now I can listen to a very specific podcast that's about debt, the specific kind of debt that I'm interested in, or the specific terms that I'm struggling with, so that I can get that in the moment training that maybe is not available to me because everyone's so busy or whatever. And so streamlining processes in that way, I think, is a good way for the legal industry and definitely the finance industry as well to really implement technology in that way to support and create, I think, a much better culture, a more evolved culture than we currently have.
Absolutely. Absolutely. All right. Incredible so far. And just really loving the way that you deliver and portray yourself and just the passion that you
Mhm.
have for what you're doing. So I do have one more question for you. Then I
Yeah.
just want to finish us off with a quick lightning round. And this last question I have for you is as far as what as the consulting industry and its evolution in the coming, what are you really doing to position Scrappy Girl Project ahead of that evolution that you see?
Yeah, so it's definitely shifting, right? I don't know if you saw like in the recent news, but even the White House they just knocked away like some top consultants that had like massive contracts. And I know a lot of like new consultants looked at that and were like, where does that leave me? And but I will say when I saw that, I was like, this is why I had to start my consulting business. They're
Yep.
making room for me. And so that tells you a little bit about my mindset, which is if I want to be relevant 5 years from now, I need to be thinking and moving like I'm 5 years ahead. And so studying, making sure I'm paying attention to what's going on, not just in my particular industry that I want to be a consultant about, but what's going on in adjacent industries. What are the people who are smarter than me, more interesting than me doing and saying? Is it actually relevant? Can I implement what they're saying and is it working? Is it not working? If it's not working, how can I make it better? And so like I find myself doing that a lot. Oh, I see. Okay, I see what you did there with that offer. But I don't like that you have all of these hidden fees. If I create an offer, I need everything to be included because I don't like hidden fees personally. And I know I'm going to attract clients who don't like hidden fees because that's just who I am. And making sure that even these like small tweaks. Oh, I noticed like you're unavailable, like you're always busy as a consultant, you don't have time for anyone. Like they sign up for your consulting services, but they don't have one-on-ones with you. They have one-on-ones with one of the people on your team. They just paid a high ticket price to work with you. So my model is if you paying that money to work with me, you better like my face because that's the face you're
Work
gonna
with me.
that's the
Yeah.
face you're gonna see. And really doing it in that way. And that's part of the reason why I can't necessarily scale it in this way. But my mindset is if I end up working with other people who decide they want to be consultants as well, they can be what they've learned from me to somebody else.
Incredible. Aubrey, I just to go into the lightning round, just one final question to wrap us up. Yes, here, just again, incredible so far. And this last question for our listeners is going to be what is a piece of advice, Aubrey, that you can offer to our listeners right now, other founders, entrepreneurs, business owners, either just starting out in business, want to become a founder, are in the middle of it and are looking for some continued motivation. What can you offer them before we wrap up?
Okay. So this is something I haven't said publicly yet. So I'll say this. Don't stay in your lane. You hear that a lot, stay in your lane, but I actually drive. I drive all the time. And if you stay in your lane, you might get stuck behind a truck and not be able to get where you need to go. You might miss your exit and you end up missing a really important appointment. You might be going at a pace that you don't need to be going based on who's in front of you or who's next to you,
Mm,
right? But in real life, like we don't have actual lanes. Like we're actually multidimensional as human beings. And so we can't stay in one particular thing as a general matter because we have to work function in the ecosystem. And so sometimes I'm going to have to shift gears based on who I'm talking to. I'm going to have to elevate the way that I interact based
mhm.
on who I'm talking to. I'm going to have to use different vernacular depending on who my audience is. But if I have in my mind, I need to stay in my lane, then I'm missing an opportunity to reach as many people as I can reach. And so don't stay in your lane.
Incredible. I love it. With that right there, that is going to wrap up another inspiring episode of Founders Future. Aubrey, I just want to thank you again. An incredible journey. You are an amazing soul and human, and truly appreciate having you on the show, sharing your insights. And I know you're going to continue to do incredible things in this space. We will be following along your journey and seeing you continue to succeed. To our listeners, if you enjoyed this episode, don't forget to subscribe to Founders Future wherever you listen to your favorite podcasts. You can also check out Scrappy Girl Project at scrappygirlproject.com to learn more about their consulting services. And also follow Aubria on LinkedIn at linkedin.com/in/Aubria. For more resources and insights, visit closers.io, where we're dedicated to helping businesses accelerate their growth through trained appointment setters and world class marketing systems. Until then, keep climbing, and we'll see you on the next one.